Okay, it's April 17, 7 p.m. Central, and watching this rain entering Northern California, and you can see it's diminishing rapidly. And you may be thinking that you're going to get some rain up there in Northern California. Well, sorry to tell you, you're not going to get any rain. You can actually see it shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. Smaller, smaller, smaller as it comes into California. Now let me show you how they're doing it. It's just a simple, this big old swirl right here. And notice how it's moving clockwise. That's clockwise is high pressure. That's descending air. And if we look at, sorry, I'll zoom in a little. That's descending air, and this right here is extremely super dry, and for some reason it doesn't show it in the map, except right here you can see, look, the clouds are disappearing right there. See that? Right there, the clouds are thinning out. So how on earth is that happening? This is the driest air in North America. Let me show you. Boom, look at that. And that is what's eating up the rain right as it comes into California. So it's raining right here, but as that dry air is basically pressing down on top of the storms, it's killing them. So how are they managing to do that? Because if we look at the jet stream, I know this is boring, but right here we have a left turn in the jet stream. Well, that's a low pressure. That's not descending air, that's rising air, so that's not right. And here's a sea level analysis, this current. And here we've got, again, left turn, counterclockwise, that's a low pressure. So that should be rising air. That should be nice rain. Now if we look at the jet stream, it's just zipping on east, There's no low pressure, there's no high pressure, nothing. So how do you have this right here, the driest air in North America, right there? That's being pushed down by the Harp downburst. Apparently this low pressure, this front, had too much energy to attack it directly, so they are having to do a downburst sort of behind it, or I'm sure they're doing it on top, but it's just not showing up. So if that's the case, we'll probably see some ELF patterns around it, and sure enough, they're around here. We just gotta look a little, okay, here they are. Let me just leave it about there, and I'm gonna stop it. And we will, oh gosh, here's a beauty right there. You see that? Okay, there we've got the little bars pointing back to Gakona. Here's bars pointing back. Here's bars. Now those look like they're kind of pointing down, but it has to do with the pixel resolution. If we just step through, we'll see those. Whoa, I'm going too far. Sorry about that. Okay, here's a group of herringbones pointing west. Well, here's an entire area that's pointing, and here is also an area pointing. I think if I get direct, a little better brightness. Here, this is herringbone. So there's no doubt this is the Harp running. Let me click through a couple more. Okay, now it's recycled. Okay, so this is visible light, and this is visible light's usually the worst for spotting those. And so the Gakona Haarp is still managing the drought in northern California, and also, just the whole Pacific Northwest, trying to kill all the precip up there. Now this little Harp down here, let me go back to visible mode. Boy, are they photoshopping today. I mean, it is just, whoops. Okay, I've got to unzoom. Then, whoops. They are just seriously photoshopping this whole deal down here, because in satellite mode it doesn't look anything like that. Frankly, I'm not too eager to go back to that rapid shear NASA satellite image server, because that's how my computer got infected with something that corrupted the BIOS. But now I've got a firewall, so should be better off. But this is so Photoshop. This is just, on Sunday they didn't Photoshop. Here it is, during the week they Photoshop it every day. So it just tells you what the work schedule is for these contractors. But, okay, so I know that this one is actually aiming at Texas because, obviously, as usual, weird things are going on in Texas. And again, some of the driest air in the whole dang area. Now, the Texas storms have been dealt with earlier today, so they've really gone ahead and focused on Mexico now, and that's where we're seeing this dry air, and we're also seeing a lot of ELF clouds aiming back to the northwest. Let me stop and find those for you. Okay, like here's a couple. Okay, right there. That's just, that's absolutely pointing the right way and everything. And here they're spreading out. Here's another, here's another. And now it's moving east. Here's another. And it's just kind of, the whole thing is just a mess. But they have used this dry air to kill what would have been rain. And now here's a whole nother family of them here. So, there's so much power. It's like 12, 18 megahertz power bouncing around that it cannot help but affect the clouds at a lower frequency. Like I said, 7 kilohertz is re-radiated by the ionosphere, and that gives rise to clouds that are 27 miles apart. And so I would think that's, I don't know, maybe that's 27 miles. I'm not up on Mexico. But that's assuming 7 kilohertz. If it's more like 20 kilohertz, maybe it's 3 or 4 miles, But Texas has gotten harped all day, and I know that because I was watching their harp signal on my oscilloscope again. But right now it's not there. And but we, not a drop of rain, not a drop of rain in the Panhandle. Not a drop of rain, and yet we still get that dry air coming through. And there were actually some herringbone earlier. So I know this is getting just really redundant, but they're doing this 5 times a day, different parts of the country. It is very redundant. These guys, they're criminals, they're gangsters, and like I was talking about in the other video, if you know what the crop is going to be in September, it's easy to make many millions and millions, make $100 million by buying and selling grain options. If you think, if you're going to create a drought in corn, you're going to buy calls in corn, in September corn. And say corn's $5 a bushel now. So you can buy a September call at $5 for a few pennies. But because of your Harp machine, that corn is going to be $7. So you can turn a few pennies into $2 in like 5 months. That's how these gangsters are making this pay off. Okay, if you can control the weather, you can control the commodity prices, and then you can cash in on those commodity prices. That's just one part, a small part of this game. And this is pure RICO, racketeering, organized crime, just the worst kind of gangster thing to do to people. But God knows it's worse what they're doing to Mother Nature. But if Al Capone was alive today, he'd be running the Harp machine. Oh look, there we do see some herringbone right here. Kind of, it forms a little circle here. So I would venture to guess they are doing a downburst here, since we're seeing part of the circle. So let me see where that dry air was. Yeah, we do see the dry air increasing here. Anyway, folks, once you get a little coil of wire and an oscilloscope and you can look at the Harp signal yourself, then you can say, oh, look at this satellite map, I bet there's a signal, and then go check it, and sure enough there is a signal. Then we need to have a national database to record when and where the Harp signal is creating dry falling air. You know, once that's done enough, then we'll have something. You know, another thing that's occurred to me that's really quite important, and that is, let me go back to this map. Okay, now prior to having all these harps in place, you'd have a low pressure that would spin up and it would come on land and just dump rain everywhere, right? That's how nature works. But since they've done these harp installations, that never happens anymore. You never have a low pressure that spins up and doesn't just disintegrate and then come on as disorganized clouds. I mean, look, that's what's happening here. These used to be low pressures and now they're just clouds. So what we could do is do a statistical analysis of historical weather data. You know, how often did you used to have a nice low pressure spin up and then come into California intact without falling apart, and then drench California in rain for a good day, and then move east to Nevada and Arizona and New Mexico and Texas, and, you know, just drench the whole country. How often did that happen compared to how often does it happen now? That analysis right there will prove weather manipulation. Okay? So you meteorologists out there with access to that data, please look into that. You can publish that anonymously or whatever if you are afraid of ruining your career. But that would really help us, because we can see with our own eyes that this is going on, but having a scientific study done would be very helpful. Okay, thank you.